Greetings to my fellow Hiccup heroes across the world. Welcome to the Hiccups and Healing Podcast, the ultimate destination for anyone navigating the tumultuous waters of high conflict co-parenting. I'm your host, Saide Saddiq-Cissè, and I'm thrilled to be kicking off our very first episode today. If you're tuning in, chances are you're already facing some of the most challenging and emotionally draining situations one can encounter as a parent. From disagreements over custody arrangements, to disagreements over educational choices, to being denied custody time or parenting time, it really gets crazy. High conflict co-parenting can wreak havoc on your mental and physical well-being. But here's the good news. You're not alone. Through this podcast, we'll be exploring how to find healing in the midst of it all. And what better way to start than by discussing the 10 principles of the Hiccup Manifesto, ingredients for success in high conflict co-parenting that I have coined in my new book, Hiccups and Healing, Moving Beyond High Conflict in Co-Parenting. Yes, that was a shameless plug, but moving forward. These principles are the principles that have helped me and countless of others find peace and resolution in the midst of even the most difficult co-parenting situations. So whether you're a seasoned co-parenting veteran or just beginning to navigate this complex terrain, or you know someone in this boat, I invite you to sit back, try to relax, and join me on this journey of self-discovery and healing. Let's dive in. Now, before we dive into these principles, I want to share a little bit about my story and how I came to write this manifesto. See, in 2020, I became a father for the first time after marrying a woman whom unfortunately I found out was not as compatible with me as I had originally thought. And while no one is perfect, it's never productive to point fingers or assign blame for the failures we experience in life. Instead, our focus should always be on finding solutions. However, my ex-partner and I just couldn't seem to find a way to maintain peace in our relationship, which often led to verbal disputes and aggravation. With a daughter on the way and having grown up in a household where I never saw my parents fight, I knew I didn't want my child to grow up in a toxic environment where love was misconstrued for a trauma bond. So I made the difficult decision to ask for a divorce and separate myself from the marriage about a month or two after my child was actually born. But just because I separated from the marriage didn't mean I neglected my responsibility as a father. I was determined to be present in my child's life. However, if you're in a similar situation, don't expect separation from your partner to solve everything. If there was high conflict in your relationship, it may even get worse when co-parenting. See, since the beginning, it's been a living nightmare trying to maintain my presence in my child's life. I've gone through an intense custody battle, false allegations of domestic violence that led to spending a night on a jail cell floor, and tons of mental struggles. Nevertheless, I never gave up my position as my child's father. And today, I can confidently say I've overcome the hardest part of my high conflict co-parenting journey. Okay. So now that we have the history out of the way, let's jump right into the 10 principles. Number 1, our first principle is none other than stick to the custody order. This principle is not just about following a legal agreement. It's about ensuring that your child has stability and consistency in their life. It can be tempting to deviate from the custody order when it doesn't suit your schedule or preferences, but doing so can create confusion and resentment between co-parents. Sticking to the custody order means honoring the agreed upon schedule, including drop-off and pickup times, and being respectful of the other parent's time with the child. It also means communicating any necessary changes or modifications in advance, and seeking approval from the other parent if required by the custody order or your co-parenting relationship. From my personal experience, sticking to the custody order has been a key factor in maintaining a healthy co-parenting relationship. While it can be frustrating at times, especially when unexpected events come up, it ultimately provides sense of structure and predictability for both me and my child. It also sets a positive example for my child, teaching them the importance of respecting boundaries and honoring commitments. Now let's talk about principle number 2, parallel parent. When traditional co-parenting isn't working due to high conflict, parallel parenting can be a more effective approach. Instead of attempting to work collaboratively with your ex, parallel parenting emphasizes limited communication and decision-making autonomy. It involves each parent taking full responsibility for their time with the child and avoiding interference with the other parent's time. I have found parallel parenting to be an excellent way to reduce conflict and stress in my co-parenting relationship. By focusing on our individual responsibilities and limiting communication, we have been able to minimize conflict and maintain a more peaceful relationship ultimately. It has also given us the space to work on our individual parenting styles, which has ultimately benefited our child. However, it's important to remember that parallel parenting is not a one-size-fits-all solution. It requires a high level of commitment and trust from both parents and may not be appropriate for all situations. It's essential to discuss and agree on the details of a parallel parenting plan with your ex and seek guidance from a family therapist or legal professional if needed. But in the case of actual domestic violence or child abuse, do ensure that the right authorities are informed and are involved with your situation. Now let's talk about principle number 3. Keep all communication in writing. This principle is very crucial for managing high conflict co-parenting, and is something that can provide a sense of security and protection when dealing with difficult exes. By keeping all communication in writing, you create a record of the conversations that can always be referred back to if necessary. This can be especially helpful if there are ever any disagreements or misunderstandings down the line, or if you ever end up having to have any legal action taken. From personal experience, I have found that keeping communication in writing has helped to avoid miscommunication and conflict, as it provides a clear and documented account of what was said. In addition, it can also help to diffuse any emotional exchanges, as both parties are forced to think more carefully about what they want to say before putting it in writing. It's important to note that written communication doesn't necessarily just mean text messages or emails. It could also include messaging through a co-parenting app or website. Whatever method you choose, make sure that it's easily accessible and secure, and that both parties are clear on how and when to use it. By sticking to this principle, you can ensure that communication remains civil and professional, and that your rights as a parent are protected. Now moving on to principle number 4, embrace the BIF response. BIF stands for brief, informative, friendly, and firm. This is a great way to communicate with your ex while minimizing conflict. When communicating with your ex, it's important to keep your messages brief, to the point, and without any emotional language. The message should contain only necessary information and nothing else. An informative message is clear and to the point while still being respectful. Use language that is easy to understand and avoid any technical jargon or complex vocabulary. Avoid being confrontational and try your best to be as neutral as possible. Now, a friendly message is one that is polite and respectful. This doesn't mean that you have to be friends with your ex, but you should strive to be polite and respectful in your communications. This will only help to prevent misunderstandings and further conflict. Now, finally, a firm message is one that sets clear boundaries and expectations. Please be assertive in your message and don't let your ex push your boundaries. It's important to be firm without being aggressive or confrontational. When I first started using the Biff response, I found that it really helped to minimize the conflict between myself and my ex. By keeping my messages brief, informative, friendly, and firm, I was able to communicate in a way that was respectful and minimized any misunderstandings. So if you are struggling to communicate with your ex, try embracing the Biff response and see if it helps to reduce some of the conflict. Okay, now principle number 5. Document everything, and I mean everything, whether it's texts, emails, phone calls, or in-person conversations. Make sure to keep a record for every interaction you have with your co-parent. This has been an essential tool in managing my co-parenting relationship and protecting my rights as a parent, and I'm sure it would do the very same for you as well. See, one example of how documenting everything helped me was during my final restraining order hearing. My ex-spouse made false claims of domestic violence against me, but because I had kept a detailed record of my experience while co-parenting with her, I was able to present evidence that helped in proving my innocence. So it's important to document any conflicts or disagreements that may arise. This can help you identify patterns of behavior and provide evidence if legal action is necessary. It may seem tedious, but trust me, it's worth it in the long run. Remember, documenting everything also means keeping track of important dates and deadlines. This can include court dates, custody agreements, and child support payments. Keeping a detailed record of these can help you stay organized and ensure that you are meeting your obligation as a co-parent. And now on to principle number 6, create firm boundaries. This principle is all about setting clear limits and expectations with your co-parent to protect your own mental and emotional well-being. When you are in high conflict co-parenting situations, it can be easy to get caught up in arguments and drama, but creating firm boundaries can help you stay grounded and focused on what's most important, your child. One boundary that I found particularly helpful was establishing specific times and modes of communication with my co-parent. This way, I wasn't constantly bombarded with messages and calls, and I can have dedicated time to respond and address any issues. It's also important to be clear about what you are willing and not willing to tolerate in terms of behavior and communication. But creating boundaries is not just about saying no or setting limits. It's also about being proactive and taking care of yourself. For example, taking time for activities such as exercise, meditation, or spending time with your friends can help you maintain your own emotional health and provide a positive example for your child. Remember, creating firm boundaries is not selfish. It's essential for your own well-being and ultimately benefits your child's well-being too. Now, moving on to principle number 7, prioritize your child's well-being. This is crucial, very, very crucial. You see, all co-parents should keep this one in mind. As tempting as it may be to vent to your child about your frustrations with your ex-partner, it's important to remember that they are not a sounding board for adult issues. Children should be kept out of any conflicts between their parents, as it can be damaging to their well-being. It's also essential to avoid speaking negatively about your ex in front of your child. Even if you don't intend to hurt them, your words and actions can have a significant impact on how they view their other parent. Instead, focus on creating a positive environment for your child and building a healthy relationship with them. Practice parallel parenting if you have to. One way to prioritize your child's well-being is to create a co-parenting plan that outlines how you and your ex will share parenting responsibilities and make decisions regarding your child's upbringing. This can help reduce conflicts and ensure that your child's needs are being met. If you are unable to directly establish a fair parenting time or parenting plan with your co-parent, then I strongly recommend you go to child custody court and establish a court order for your parenting time. This has worked great for me. In my experience, I have always made a conscious effort to shield my child from any negative aspects of my co-parenting relationship. While it hasn't always been easy, it has been worth it to see my child grow up in a healthy and supportive environment. Remember, your child's well-being should always be your top priority. Moving on to principle number 8, seek support. One of the most challenging aspects of high conflict co-parenting is the feeling of isolation and the belief that you are alone in your struggles. However, seeking support is crucial for your mental and emotional well-being. When I first started my co-parenting journey, I felt like I had to handle everything on my own. I was hesitant to ask for help because I didn't want to burden my friends and family with my problems. However, as time went on, I realized that reaching out for support was one of the best decisions I could make. There are many ways to seek support, such as talking to a therapist, joining a support group, or simply confiding in a trusted friend or family member. Having someone to talk to who understands what you're going through can provide a sense of validation and help you feel less alone. Additionally, seeking support can also help you gain a new perspective on your situation. Sometimes, when we're caught up in the midst of conflict, it's hard to see the bigger picture or find solutions to our problems. Talking to someone can bring fresh ideas and new strategies to the table. So don't be afraid to seek support when you need it. Remember, you don't have to go through this alone. And now, principle number 9, take care of yourself and your child. When you're dealing with high conflict co-parenting, it's easy to forget to take care of yourself and your child's needs. But this is essential for managing the stress and challenges that come with the territory. One of the things that has helped me is to prioritize self-care. This means making time for activities that I enjoy, such as exercise or reading, and finding healthy ways to cope with the stress, such as meditation or therapy. It's also important to make sure that my child's needs are being met, including their physical and emotional and mental well-being. Remember that you are not alone in this journey. Seek out support from friends, family, or professionals if needed. And most importantly, don't forget to take care of yourself and your child. By doing so, you'll be better equipped to handle the challenges that come your way. And finally, principle number 10, have hope. When dealing with high conflict co-parenting, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and hopeless. However, it's important to remember that the situation is not permanent and that things can and will get better with time and effort. Having hope doesn't mean ignoring the challenges and difficulties that come with co-parenting, but rather having a positive mindset and believing in the possibility of improvement. One way to cultivate hope is by setting small, achievable goals for yourself and your child and celebrating each step forward along the way. I remember feeling discouraged and frustrated in the early stages of my co-parenting journey, but by focusing on the present moment and having hope for the future, I was able to persevere and make progress. I learned that having a positive outlook not only benefits myself, but also has a positive impact on my child and our relationship. So if you're feeling hopeless or defeated, remember to have hope and keep working towards a better future for yourself and your child. So there you have it, the 10 principles of the Hiccup Manifesto. Remember that healing from high conflict co-parenting is not a linear journey, and it's okay to have setbacks and struggles along the way. The most important thing is to keep moving forward, one step at a time. Remember, being a Hiccup hero isn't about being perfect. It's about doing the best you can in challenging situations. Keep these principles in mind, stay strong, and know that you are not alone. Together, we can navigate the bumps in the road of high conflict co-parenting and emerge as stronger, more resilient parents and individuals. So thank you for joining me today on the Hiccups and Healing podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a review to help us reach more people who may be going through their own hiccup. And if you have any suggestions or feedback, please don't hesitate to reach out. Until next time, keep healing.